Buy a Windows 7 PC, get a free Xbox 360.
That does two things at once, so I can play games while I watch my favorite shows at the same time. Whoa! Yo!
It turns out, I was made for this.
From Taco Bell, and you too can enter for a chance.
Competition is an essential factor in any industry. Several business-savvy analysts and regulatory boards will be quick to remind you that competition breeds innovation and affluence in any industry. And for an industry like the gaming industry, one of the highest earning media industry in the world, you can suspect that the competition is stiffer than you are while watching your favorite anime waifu. Why did I write that? Ever since the 90s, several companies have competed to be on the top of the industry, with juggernauts like Sony and Sega duking it out. Sony with the PlayStation and Sega with the Dreamcast, a war which led to Sega's inevitable defeat and destruction in the console market. While Nintendo and Sony remained on the top and dominated, killing all other consoles like the beloved Ouya, in November 2001, Microsoft decided to join the console market with the release of the Xbox, and for a while they held their own against Nintendo and Sony with games like Conquer, Live and Reloaded, so you know they had bangers. However, their opponent was specifically Sony because Microsoft held its own with the Xbox and did respectable enough numbers to stay a competitor amongst others who came before it. That really didn't last long. Sony's PlayStation 2 far outsold the first Xbox, and it wasn't even a competition. While the Xbox 360 sold more than the PlayStation 3 initially, that didn't last long either, as the console eventually outsold the Xbox 360 and sold it to PlayStation 4 against the Xbox One and the PlayStation 5. Well, you get where I'm going with this. And if you don't believe me, then maybe you'll believe Microsoft themselves, who said, and I quote, "In 2001, Microsoft entered the gaming industry with the launch of its first Xbox video game console, in competition with established incumbents like Sony and Nintendo. In that generation, Sony and Nintendo outsold Xbox by a significant margin with every succeeding generation over the 20 years since. To make things worse, Sony has also been the significant market shareholder in several regions, including Japan, with a 96% domination over Microsoft. And if you notice, not many of your favorite Weeb games launch on Xbox. When they do, it usually takes at least a year later as sloppy seconds. And this is because PlayStation is just the preferred platform for Japanese devs and publishers, and this is also why Microsoft has gone hard on its subscription service Game Pass. They figured they couldn't measure dicks with Sony, so they decided to rely on it to compete. And this is also why many Japanese games come straight to Game Pass to entice publishers to port games to the platform. But despite all this, Sony still continues to dominate with its slew of great studios making crazy good exclusives, while Microsoft's not so much in that regard. But when Microsoft learned that Sony planned to make Starfield a PlayStation exclusive, Microsoft said, fuck it, we might as well buy the whole goddamn shebang, and bought Bethesda, which by the way is one baller ass move, I gotta admit. But again, Sony still has a lot: Insomnia, Gorilla, Bluepoint, Naughty Dog, and Bungie. These studios continuously make great games and are console selling juggernauts, so while Microsoft got the dub with Bethesda, it still needed a lot to even the odds. So Microsoft does something crazy and decides to throw $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard, a move that raises the attention of not only the entire industry but also worldwide regulatory boards. But the company that hated this the most was obviously Sony. So essentially, when Microsoft decided to even the odds, Sony, the company that owns several great studios and exclusives, makes a hissy fit and does multiple things and makes various statements to block the acquisition. Not only that, but several regulatory boards, specifically the US FTC and UK CMA, were adamant about blocking the deal, stating many facts like bad competition, which makes sense, but mainly for cloud competition concerns, which makes no sense because we all know nobody cares about that shit. Sure, to be fair, if or when Microsoft's deal goes through, they'll be getting a lot to even the odds. This includes World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Candy Crush, which surprisingly makes a lot of money actually, and most importantly, the Call of Duty series. Combined with the previously acquired Bethesda studio, that's a lot. And Call of Duty is the most important of all because it's one of the most successful media franchises in the world, with many gamers literally only having consoles to play Call of Duty games. So it's no surprise that Sony, who by the way succeeded in having several games in the series launched earlier on PlayStation, would be against such an acquisition. But I personally don't think it's such a big deal as everyone thinks. Sure, it's a significant advantage for sure, but considering the fact that World of Warcraft and Diablo series, while profitable, are PC experiences and aren't even enough to compete majorly with Sony in the console market, the Overwatch series is kinda struggling right now, and overall they'll only be competing for share profits and not console sales. I know the money matters a lot, but you get my point. But of course, this still isn't enough because Sony fanboys, the CMA and FTC are still hell-bent on stopping the acquisition despite the FTC losing their court case. However, slowly but surely, Microsoft seems to be getting closer and closer to closing the massive deal, and I hope that they will, at least with the way things are looking right now. Also, this doesn't mean I prefer Xbox to Sony or the other way around. I just believe in the free market, goddammit, and in competition, and I think people just aren't looking at things objectively. But hey, none of this even matters anyway. These are two giant corporations whose goal at the end of the day is to profit off of you. So it doesn't matter which conglomerate is better than which, who deserves what, and which community is better, because when it all comes down to it, they're the ones winning and not you. Hey you, thanks a lot for watching this video, especially up to this point. If you enjoyed the video, press a like, subscribe, and comment what I did right. If you didn't, subscribe anyway and comment what I did wrong. Till the next one.